So let's have a quick look at the agenda. Everybody can see my slides. If you can't, please shout. I believe it is sharing. So the agenda, today we have first we will do introductions of your hosts. After that, we will talk about the role of the PLOS academic editor, you, our wonderful new editors. After that, we will have time for some Q&A. And then after closing, we will have some time for you to meet other editors in the breakout rooms. So my name is Mika. I am originally from South Africa, but I have lived in the UK for the past 3 years. And that's also how long I've been working for PLOS. I work here as an editorial research associate. So I handle a lot of editor communication and feedback. My co-hosts are Patrick and Nanda. Patrick, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I'm Patrick Goymer. I'm the Life Sciences Division Editor at PLOS One. I'm actually relatively new to PLOS, having joined this year. I spent 20 years at a different publisher before that. So my role is to oversee the team of staff editors who look after the life sciences manuscripts. But we do actually work across different topics, and I do get involved in other subjects as well. Over to the next person.
Thank you. Nanda, would you like to say hi real quick?
Hi, my name is Fernanda. I work alongside Mika, and I've been in the publishing field for the past 3 years. I joined PLOS almost a year ago, I would say. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Nanda. And now we'd like to hear some more from you. I'm going to launch a quick poll so you can tell us more about yourselves, how many years you've been active in your field, where you're calling in from, and any other editorial boards you may have served on. Hang on just a moment. There we go. Poll coming up now. I'll give it about a minute. Thank you so much for these responses. I see we have some representation from PLOS Mental Health. Bulk of it is PLOS One. Welcome. Very experienced researchers here, over 5 years of experience. Oh, for some of you, this is your first editorial board, but again, some experienced editorial board members. Oh, welcome from Asia, Australia, and Europe. That is a lovely spread. Ramya, I don't know why. I think the poll has closed, unfortunately. I'm so sorry, but welcome from India. There we go. Thank you. That was really interesting. You can have a quick look at the results if it's sharing properly. But yes, thank you so much, everybody, for joining from wherever you are. We appreciate your time, and we will jump right into it. So, PLOS One covers a wide range of subject areas, geography, and career stage. We aim to be inclusive as much as we can. We tend to be larger than most subject-specific or society journals so that we can cover broad scopes and high volumes. Section editors advise on subject-specific issues and manuscripts and participate on a deeper level in section engagement. Academic editors, you, oversee the peer review process and are responsible to a very large degree in determining what we should publish or not. Recruitment of you, the academic editor, occurs through application, subject-specific invitation, or referrals from your colleagues. So if you go to the editorial board page on PLOS One, you can actually see your fellow academic editors. You can then search for them based on sections or classifications, or if you want to know if they're there by name. So if you were to do a section-specific search, so for example, someone who works in agriculture, let's see, agricultural irrigation. Click away. There we go. You can see that we have all of 2 experts in that field. So if you know someone who is an expert in agricultural irrigation, please refer them to the board. We obviously need more. Yes, so the academic editor role. In short, we expect AEs to oversee the peer review process from beginning to end. We ask you to take responsibility for conducting the initial assessment based on our PLOS publication criteria. We ask you to find and invite reviewers, evaluate their feedback, and then make editorial decisions based off of this. These decisions then need to be communicated to the authors. Academic editors also play an active role in our community and should be highly engaged as representatives of PLOS. We take publication and research ethics very seriously here at PLOS, and we expect our editorial board members to do the same. You can find this code at our PLOS Editor Center. Here, PLOS Code of Conduct for editorial board members, which is linked here and was also shared with you as part of the recruitment or onboarding. And here you can see, you can download it as a PDF and you can read it on the website later at your leisure. We use Editorial Manager as our submission system. This is provided by a company called Aries. When you start out as a new AE, the first thing you will want to do is to update My Information. This is where you verify your contact info and institution, making sure we can reach you with our new invitations. You can then indicate your area of expertise by adding classifications and keywords. These are very important. And then you can also orientate yourself to find out how to set unavailable dates. For example, if you are taking some time off, you need sick leave, or you are taking a sabbatical, it will help the new invitations not to be sent to you during this time. Please, I want to loop back to indicating your areas of expertise. This is very important that you add your classification terms. This will help the correct manuscripts from the correct fields reach you and best match your area of expertise. There is a guide here that would have been sent to you as a resource. Please do take some time to familiarize yourselves. Everything on here is clickable and should help you and has screenshots to help you step by step with setting up your information and setting up your personal classifications. Okay, next we will be talking about the life of a manuscript with PLOS. People tend to believe that PLOS just takes a manuscript and then points at submission and hands it straight to the academic editors. However, there are actually quite a few steps that happen in between. So once an author has submitted the manuscript, there are some initial technical checks where we look for things such as formatting, image visibility, metadata, before it passes to the subscan phase or the submission scan, where our staff editors check for, amongst other things, scope, publication criteria, and ethics. A desk reject may happen here. But if it passes this phase, then it gets passed to an editor. We ask you to assess it and decide whether it is suitable for peer review or not. At this point, at this node, you have the power to, or freedom to reject without a review if you believe this manuscript is not suitable at all. However, if you believe it has some merit and could do with a few rounds of review, this is the way you would go. You would then send it out for peer review and issue the decision based on that to the authors. But whether that be reject, revise, or then ultimately accept. It may go through a few rounds of revision where the author will then have to resubmit a revised manuscript until you decide it is suitable for publication. After the accept decision is issued by you, we take things over again. We do a final technical check before it goes into production and publication. Invitations to handle manuscripts will come through email. Most of these invitations are sent by an algorithm for one and global public health, or term-based matching if you are with climate, mental health, or water. You always have the choice to either accept or decline invitations. This is very important. You do not have to accept every invitation that comes your way. So just to go back to the algorithm and term-based matching, staff may also send invitations. So if initial rounds of this algorithm or term-based matching are unsuccessful, we may send it for special handling through staff editors. So reassigned manuscripts or resubmissions may come to you in this way. So please do read the email invitation very carefully. There is a wonderful resource, the quick guide and invitation to handle manuscripts, which should also have been sent to you as part of your welcome pack. And these also have some very important links, so you can have a look at what your invitation will look like, what to look out for. It's got some more information on the PLOS match algorithm. The PLOS match algorithm is a natural language processing algorithm. So it grabs the manuscript text and editor's publication and keywords to create a similarity score and then build a queue. So that is how you may end up in a queue, as it builds a similarity score. So the more detailed your keywords are, the higher the chances are of the right kind of manuscript finding you. So please do take some time to update your classifications and keywords. Next, we will have a look at the peer review timeline. So initially, this is the broad expectation of how long the peer review cycle should take, give or take some time because of different factors, such as different subject areas may be having different standards, or the difficulty in finding reviewers. So each manuscript is unique, but this is a general guideline for you to work from. So initially, when you have accepted a manuscript to handle it, the initial valuation should last 3 days before you start inviting reviewers. This can take 1 to 2 weeks, but we do appreciate that it can take longer to identify, invite, and secure reviewers. These reviewers then have 2 to 3 weeks to provide a review and assessment, which they then send back to you, upon which you base your decision. And then this cycle can repeat at least 2 or 3 times until you are happy with the quality of the manuscript and that it is suitable for publication. I will be passing over to my colleague, Patrick, here, and he will be talking some more about the peer review timeline.
Thanks, Mika. I'm just going to share my screen, get the right bit of it. Can you now see the initial evaluation slide? No. Okay. Bear with me.
Yes. No,
Yes,
it's shown up now. Yes.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you. Okay, I've got 3 slides that I'm going to talk to you about, covering the main chunk of the editorial tasks. The first one being the initial evaluation of the manuscript, the second one finding and securing reviewers, and the third making the final editorial decision. And there are resources in these quick guides that I'm going to talk you through as well. So for the initial evaluation, what we're asking you to do is to assess the manuscript to decide whether to send it to review or whether it needs to be rejected straight out. And there are essentially 3 ways of doing this. One is using the PLOS publication criteria, which I'll talk you through. The other is some information that the staff editors, during their subject scanning, may have drawn your attention to, and that will be in your editorial manager. But most importantly is your own subject area expertise. You are the experts, and we are trusting you to make the decision based on your expertise. So I'm going to toggle into the quick guide now. And this is a useful guide that you'll have to take you through the steps involved. So this first bit just replicates what was on that slide before. So these are the publication criteria across the different PLOS journals: climate, global public health, mental health 1, and water. If you follow these links at the bottom, you'll get to a more elaborate version of the criteria. These ones on this slide are a summary. To some extent, the staff editors will have assessed against these criteria when making their subject before the manuscript gets to you, but you can still use these criteria potentially to reject a manuscript. So you should present the results of original research. We will hopefully have assessed that, but you may have views on this. But I'm not going to talk you through every single one, but some of the key ones are: you are the expert on whether the experiments and statistics are performed to a high technical standard, and whether the conclusions are appropriate. This is something you may need reviewers to help you with, but you may be able to make this assessment yourself. We will have checked that the research meets ethical standards, so that's something that you can probably leave to us. So that's the first set of things you can use to make this initial decision. Then there will be some information we may have drawn attention to, not for every manuscript, but if it's, say, a particularly controversial field, or there's a particular technique we'd feel that we need you to look at in detail, this information will be in your email. But fundamentally, at this stage, we're asking you to use your expertise to decide on whether this manuscript can be rejected. Some important things are these PLOS journals don't reject for perceived novelty. It has to be a meaningful contribution to academic literature, but it doesn't have to have the conceptual novelty that some other academic journals use. So please don't reject on that basis. Be very careful about rejecting for the quality of the English language. The quality needs to be sufficient that it is intelligible, but it doesn't at this stage have to be perfect. So here are listed some useful reasons you might reject it. If there are serious methodological or analytical flaws that you don't think peer review is going to be able to address, if you think the conclusions aren't supported, if you think the whole study hypothesis and rationale flaw, and this is you as a subject expert will know this. And I did say we don't reject on novelty, but if something is entirely redundant with something that's already in the academic literature and it's not set out as a deliberate replication study, then this is a reason you might reject. You can also send an open reject if you think the study might ultimately be suitable, but not within the sort of revision somebody could do in 45 days. If it required new experiments, you can send an open reject. If in all the situations other than these, we'd ask you to send it to external peer review. And then this guide has a few more frequently asked questions, which I've sort of touched on, and I won't go through in detail now. So I'm going to go back. That's our initial assessment. So some manuscripts will be rejected at this stage, but the rest of the ones we go through to finding and securing reviewers. The key points here are: this is difficult. It takes time to find reviewers. It's not something that you can do in a few minutes here and there. It's going to take a reasonable amount of time, but there are resources to help you. The key things we want from reviewers are that they have the relevant expertise both in the subject and the methodology being used in the manuscript. They're active researchers and they are unbiased. And we have certain criteria for defining a researcher who is unbiased. And another important thing is all this should be done through editorial manager. Because if you start trying to do it outside editorial manager, things get lost and the whole system doesn't work very well. Please stick to doing all this within editorial manager. So again, there's a quick guide for this now. And those are the key points. One key point is all accepted manuscripts must have at least one external reviewer. So by the time something comes through to acceptance, it has to have been reviewed by at least one peer reviewer who is not yourself. We prefer two, but I appreciate that sometimes all that's necessary and sufficient. But I should also emphasize that you don't need to get a reviewer if you're rejecting the manuscript in your initial assessment. And as I say, it can be challenging to find reviewers, and you need to do it through editorial manager. So here is a checklist of things that we recommend for reviewers and things we require for reviewers. We generally are looking for some people who have published on the topic, preferably as a senior or corresponding author, that have expertise in the topic and the methodology. And sometimes all that expertise will be in one or two people. Sometimes you have to have a panel of people to get the different expertise you need to the aspects of the manuscript. We ask that the reviewers are at a postdoctoral level or above, and they have a genuine academic, government, non-profit, research institution affiliation. The things that are actually required in order to make sure that the reviewers are not biased. They shouldn't be at the same institution as the authors. We ask you not to use the reviewers that are listed as opposed reviewers by the authors. They shouldn't have collaborated or published with the authors within the last 5 years, and ideally are not at the same institution as another reviewer. We don't want two reviewers from the same institution, and preferably they're not at your institution. And we also take seriously the need to diversify the panel of reviewers we use. So we ask you not to repeatedly keep on going to the same small pool of reviewers. That said, there are some tips from editors of finding people. Generally, researchers you know are a useful first place to go. They're more likely to say yes, and you know their expertise. Researchers you actually know, or researchers you know their work. After that, we ask you to use various different databases, such as Web of Science or references in PubMed, or the reference list in the article, as ways of finding the people who might be relevant. It's important to note that editorial manager has the contact details of people, but it can't be used as a way of searching for people's. You need to do that externally. Other additional tips: early career researchers are often have the time and the willingness to review, and in my editorial experience, often provide some of the best peer review reports. We do encourage co-reviewing of a senior and a junior peer, researcher to train people in the peer review process. Personalize the invitation; it makes people more likely to accept. When it comes to actually inviting reviewers, there are guides and editorial managers that take you through the steps of doing this. We suggest you start by inviting 8 candidates in the first round. That's probably a read you're going to need initially. After that, you can set up alternate reviewers so that when one reviewer declines, an invitation will go to the next person, and you can even do that for different expertises to minimize the number of times you have to send the invitations yourself. And there are more guides here on what sort of reminders you need to send. Most of that is automated. The timelines, you can to an extent change the timelines, and if a reviewer gets submit late, you can actually re-invite them. But generally, try and keep the timelines relatively tight. If you run into problems, finally, you can contact the journal for help. This last bit says, all the reviewers declined, can I just reject the manuscript? The answer is no, but please reach out to the journal if you're problems at the stage. I'm going to take us back to the next slide, the final, which is assessing reviews and making decisions. The reviews will come to you in a structured form. Each reviewer gets asked a set of questions to fill in about the manuscript, and these all come to you, and you can see what they say in the different answers to the different questions. Sometimes this is easy. All the reviewers agree. Quite often there may be discrepancies. That's where an academic editor comes in, is to resolve these discrepancies and decide which are the important points, which are the points that you need the authors to deal with, which points you can use to make the decision on the manuscript when the reviewers might not agree with each other. We have 4 available decisions, which I'll talk you through in the quick guide. And importantly, the decision letter that you send with the review reports should have some information from some tailored information from yourself that the authors know what they need to do with in response to the reports, or if you're rejecting, lets the authors know why you're rejecting the manuscript. So I'm going to take you to the quick guide for this. Again, we have those key points are the same that were in the slide just before. So here, this is where, as I say, the important job of the academic editor is to decide which reviewer comments are necessary for the authors, and to give weight to some comments over other comments if they don't agree with each other. Usually, you with your subject expertise and the information you have from the reviewers, you should be able to make it. Sometimes you might need to ask the reviewers some comments, or sometimes seek help from an additional reviewer, but we would ask you to only do that when absolutely necessary, so we don't keep on overburdening the academic community for more and more reviewer reports. And you can also contact the journal office for help from a staff editor if necessary. As I say, there are 4 decisions that can be made. Most decisions will probably be a revision. Essentially, the difference between these two is if you think that the article is almost certainly going to be accepted eventually, but just needs some small changes, that would be a minor revision. If some changes need to be made, and you and the reviewers need to see the answer to what those changes are before you can decide whether the manuscript is going to make it, that would be a major revision. So if there's still a reasonably large chance that the manuscript might be rejected in the end, that would be a major revision. You can issue an accept decision as long as you have had at some point one reviewer assess the manuscript. When issuing an accept decision, that means that no more changes are necessary to the manuscript. If there are small changes needed, you need to issue a minor revision. If there are no changes needed, it can be accept. And then if you and the reviewers are clear that this manuscript is not suitable, then you can issue a reject. In all cases, you should be explaining to the authors in your bit of text in the letter why that decision is the one being sent. I'm going to scroll you through just to the decision letter. There's an important bit in the decision letter, which is in the text of the letter. When you load it up in Editorial Manager, it will show you academic editor, please insert comments here. So this is where you delete that bit and you insert your comment. Keep in mind, what kind of constructive feedback would you like to receive if it was your manuscript? Give some context to the reviews. Tell the authors which bits they really need to pay attention to and which bits could be disregarded. And make it sure there's clear direction here. This is what you need to do in order for this manuscript to be accepted. Alternatively, if you're rejecting, make it clear why you're rejecting. So, for instance, using the publication criteria, the reviewer's report, this doesn't meet criteria 95 or something like that. There are some sort of expectations here. You're expected, we hope that you will be able to accept something unless anything goes wrong, being able to handle the manuscript all the way through to the final decision. I'm going to talk quickly before I finish about publication ethics. We take them very seriously, and we've got a guide on that. We expect you to look for publication ethics problems and for some guidance. We don't expect you to be the ones who investigate the whole situation. We have a team of publication ethics editors who can do that. We also, as staff editors, conduct routine review of decisions, particularly accept decisions, but also decisions on some types of manuscript where there's any issue that we think. So you may well hear from us when you've made your decision if we want to check something about you. That doesn't mean we're criticizing about it, but you'll receive notification. Another key thing to point to, authors can opt in peer review history, which is for transparency. If they do that, your decision letter will be in there too. So just bear that in mind as you're writing your decision letters. So I'm going to toggle that and just quickly show you the publication ethics frequently asked questions. There's a lot here that I'm not going to try and it's good to do this. Some of the things that you are something called citation stacking, where a reviewer is making unreasonable requests to for citation of their own papers. Please be alert for this and let the authors know that these citations do not need to be added to the manuscript, and let the journal office know that this is happening. We as journal editors also make a lot of checks. If you suspect that there is duplicates, we have checked for this as far as we can. But if you know about this from some other copy, please let us know. Again, we are checking for this, but if you notice it, this is something that you need to let us know about. And then there are more serious things where we think there's actually fraud going on, and our publication ethics team will take on to investigate. So to look at things, but you're on your own to investigate publication ethics concern. At that point, I'm going to hand back to Mika.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much. So, all of the resources we went through today can be found on the Resources for Editors page. Each journal's version is linked here. So, for example, this is what PLOS One's Resources for Editors page looks here. The quick guides, the every clickable link we saw today, and this is an example of PLOS Mental Health's page. If you have any specific if you have any specific manuscript inquiries, please email your questions or concerns through to the relevant journal email address. So it would be the name of the journal @plos.org. So mentalhealth@plos.org, climate@plos.org. If you need if you need any editorial board role support, this email here, edboardsupport@plos.org, that would go to the editorial board services team. So that would be about things like invitation volume, or if you need to resign, hopefully not too soon. Thank you for your time. That concludes our formal part of the presentation. Now we will have time for some questions and answers. I have been monitoring the chat. Let's see if anything new. Yes, any questions? So at this point, you are welcome to unmute and ask questions. We will endeavor to answer, and or you can type them in the chat box and I will read them out. We have about 5 to 10 minutes for this, but we'll see how busy it gets.
I have a quick question, please.
Yes, Natalie, how can I help you?
Good morning. Thanks for that. That was really helpful. 2 questions, really. The first one, I'm sorry, I might have missed this. How many reviewers how many review reports do we need? I'd just like to clarify that. Thanks.
Thank you for your question, Patrick.
Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, go for it.
Thanks, Natalie. the minimum is 1 if a manuscript is going to be accepted. You don't need any reviewers if you are going to reject the manuscript yourself.
Yeah.
Our ideal is 2, but
Yeah.
the most important thing is making sure you have all the aspects of the manuscript covered in terms of expertise. So there will be 1 or 2 manuscripts where you might need 3 or 4 because it's maybe interdisciplinary and there's a technique that needs covering by a different person. We would ask you not to try and overburden the community with too many requests. So keep it to the minimum necessary. But 1 is our absolute minimum.
Okay, no, we had 6 once, and that, I'm going to be honest, that was awful.
It gets awful when I mean I've handled manuscripts for years, and the more you have, it just becomes a mess. So definitely keep it as low as possible.
Thanks. And I just had another really quick question. The slides you just delivered, I've been on the link online on the web page, and I can't download them. They're just in some sort of presentation mode. Is it possible that you can drop either a copy of the slides in the chat so I can have a copy to save? Sorry. Thanks.
I'll leave that one to Mika.
Sorry, you want a copy of the slides specifically, or the links in the slides?
No, the slides. You've got the slides online on the web page, and I clicked on them, and they're stuck in some sort of presentation mode. I can't get them out of that, and I can't download them. I just wanted a copy to save. Sorry, thanks.
Yes, can I get back to you on that? Let me make a note to download them. I'll double check what's wrong. We did recently relaunch, a new branding, so things get lost in the shuffle. So let's see if we can fix that for you. So,
all right, thank you. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
I have a quick question as well. Sorry, I just missed the starting of the presentation. When we have received all the reviewers, so do we need to send all the, we need to compile all the reviews and then send it to the authors?
And just to clarify, you want to know if we need to combine all the reviews. You need to combine all the reviews you receive before sending it to the authors?
Yes, I wanted to know that is it an automatic system where automatically the review comments are sent to the authors, or do we need to combine? Because I've received, I'm actually an academic editor for 2 of the manuscript, or I've received the reviewer comments. And I wanted to know, do I have to compile into in one document and then send it, or would it be automatically sent? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Patrick, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, so when all the reviews have come in, when you go into Editorial Manager and you are ready to send a decision, it will draw all the reviews into the same template letter, and then you can add your own comments. So to an extent that the Editorial Manager does bring them together for you. They are still 2 or 3 distinct reports, but they're all drawn into the same email, and you just need to add your comments to that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Someone is knocking at my door, and that set my dog off. Patrick, would you please take some of the questions from the chat, please?
Sorry, I turned myself off. Right, okay. The first one I can see is, do the academic editors have to check for AI use in the manuscript? This is an evolving area. No, it is not your responsibility. We do some checks for this, but at any point, if you notice that you think there is concern about AI, please let us know. And the same goes for AI use in reviews. This is something both staff and academic editors are having to work together to try and notice these things. The next one, I have to go to Mika on fees and benefits. The template, somebody asked, where can we get the templates for reviewer invitation decision making? This should all be in Editorial Manager. So when you try and do things in Editorial Manager, these template emails will be automatically drawn through. Yeah, that's a very good question, Eric. Can academic editor also act as a reviewer of a manuscript? I did mean to mention this. Yes, they can, but they shouldn't do it anonymously. they should, if you're going to act as a second reviewer of a manuscript, you need to make sure that's signed. You've signed your report so that the author knows that it's you, not that you're sort of. They don't get confused and think there's a third person has seen it, not yourself. But the other thing to note is you can't. An accepted manuscript has to have one external reviewer, so you can't be the sole reviewer of a manuscript that ultimately goes through to publication. There's another question. Yeah, so I think I had the information on how long you should wait. The editorial manager has various set timelines for when it will uninvite an editor, and it's in that. A reviewer, and it's in that guide. And I would just go with the timelines that are automated in editorial manager, unless you've heard from a reviewer saying, "Look, I need another 3 days," then go and change things. But if not, go with the default that's in there. Mika, do you want to take the question about?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Thank you. Hi. Hello. Yes.
All
sorry,
right,
I'm
I
back.
have a question. Thank you very much for the enlightening seminar. So I recently joined the editorial board, and I was going to send my decision, but I realized I had some conflicting reviewers' comments. So I decided to send an email. I saw a button at the point where I was going to do the decision. And I decided to check one of the ad hoc email, and I sent an editor query to the journal office, to request for assistance and further guidance. But I haven't gotten any response, and there's no way for me to trace that email to sort of maybe send a reminder or follow up.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. How long ago did you send this query? And did you send it to Ed Board support or to one of the journal specific emails, just to clarify?
To be honest, I think it's been about 2 weeks that I sent it.
Okay.
And I just clicked on the editor query, and then I clicked on the customized letter. So you just sent it to the +1@plos.org. That's the email there.
Patrick, what kind of support do we offer
We should have.
for decision?
It sounds to me that might have got lost, because I would have hoped that we would have replied within that time frame. I don't know why. The PLOS +1@PLOS email address is checked, but it does get an enormous volume of queries. I think the editorial board's email, that's the one you were talking about, Mika, that's the place to send it to. So could you resend it to the Ed Board support?
Unfortunately, I don't even have a copy. I don't know where to locate what I initially sent. So I'll have to look through. And I think there's also an option for discussion, because for another manuscript that I served as editor, I've received a number of correspondences through the discussion, but I don't know how to initiate one. So maybe that will be a faster way.
Yes, you should be able to do that in editorial manager. If you go to discussions, you should be able to.
I should be able to do that.
Initiate a discussion.
Okay.
It's a large system with lots of things going on.
Okay.
It might be a sensible thing to do both those things. And even if you can't remember what was in the initial email, just email Ed Board support saying, "Sorry, I lost an email, but I'm seeking some guidance on this manuscript," and then we will hopefully be able to.
Okay. So I should always use this Ed Board support?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You can,
I'll save that.
Sorry, yes, +1, and then you can CC Ed Board support, because we check these queues daily, and then we can transfer it to the correct people so it doesn't get lost. Sorry that it got lost.
I appreciate it.
But please, we will have a look at it as soon as it comes in again. Thank you.
And
thank you.
I think it's also worth saying, if we hope we get back to you pretty soon on all these queries. If you're concerned that it's got lost, just don't feel bad about sending a query again. There are 1 or 2 ways things can get lost. So
all right, no problem.
We're not going to be offended.
Okay, thank you. There's quite a few more questions. Let me just have a quick look. If a reviewer is not responding after being assigned to a manuscript, how long should we wait before unassigning them? If this is before they've accepted, they will be automatically uninvited after a period of time. Is that correct, Patrick?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So then, but if they have accepted and then they don't submit it, I'm not 100% sure the process there.
They are also eventually uninvited.
I think editorial manager will do that for you.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it's automated, so you don't have to worry about that.
If you go to the timelines in the, if you go to the quick guide that I showed on reviewers, that gives all the timelines. I can't remember all the timelines off the top of my head, but they're all in there for how long it takes before people get uninvited in different situations.
Lots of reviewer questions. I'm going to lump a few together. Can we help you if you cannot find reviewers? And can we add more reviewers to editorial manager? So if you are desperately struggling to find reviewers and you've invited absolutely everyone you can think of and everyone is declined or been unassigned, do email the journal office. We might have some resources or some support we can offer you. As for, can we add reviewers to editorial manager? Yes, please do. If you know of someone who is not on the reviewer finding system already, you can add their names, affiliation, and email address and invite them through editorial manager to review the manuscript. Can you as editor change the deadline for review reports? Patrick, you did touch on that briefly.
Yes, you can. We just be careful doing so that you don't keep on extending deadlines that never get met. But yes, you can. If you have a good reason to change a deadline, you can do that.
Yeah, thank you. There's a specific question here about reviewer access to the manuscript in the portal. They've escalated the matter to editorial for resolution. Reviewer reported that they were unable to access the manuscript on the portal. So if this has already been escalated to the board, Dr. Amrita, would you just care to expand on whether you've received any feedback on this situation yet?
No, I'm just waiting for the reply. This was escalated today in the morning itself. So I was like waiting for this webinar and I thought to just like also seek some guidance from you all.
Okay. No, then you did the right thing by escalating it
Yeah.
to you
Because
emailed
because the reviewer has
board.
also sent me all the communication and I have like forwarded all the communication to the PLOS one editorial like email ID and I have attached all the communication which is sent to me by the reviewer. So I'm just waiting for it. Yeah.
Perfect. That should
Thank
be
you.
handled
Yeah.
within the next few days, and you did the right thing there.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And also, I'm keen to know, like, is there any APC which we're charging it to the author? Because sometimes randomly people ask this question, and the minute we are saying we're the academic editor, we need to have better clarity on it. So just thought of asking you. Apart from it, I also would like to know, there are some institutes, the one who come forward, like, for their conferences, can PLOS one or can PLOS be the collaborating kind of a journal partner? So, how to go ahead to answer to both these questions? If you can just guide me over here.
Yeah, there's a few parts to that question. As for the APC discounts, does it relate to the discounts as editor? Unfortunately, we do not, as far as I know, just correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, offer APC discounts for editors for being on the editorial board, but
No, I'm just trying to understand if do we charge any APC to the author for publication?
yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think if you look in the chat, Julia, who's also on this call, has put a link to the APC feed.
Thank you, Julia. There's a link there that you can access. Thank you so much.
I have a question
And
about the algorithm. And I apologize that my camera's not on. I'm not at home. I'm traveling and I don't have a camera on this computer.
no, no worries.
But I appreciate this webinar because I'm on some other editorial boards and there was no training whatsoever. And it was quite frustrating to learn editorial manager by myself.
Yes.
I've been invited to be the editor for a manuscript already, and I am in the humanities, and I'm a philosopher, and I study religions globally. So I feel like I'm pretty broadly interested. But the manuscript was not in any field of philosophy or any field of religion, and I wondered if PLOS One just will. The algorithm will put anything in the humanities to one of the humanities editors, and is that what I can expect?
Do you want me to do that, Mika, or you?
Yeah, you can take this one, Patrick. Go for it. Thank you for your question, Kevin.
Thanks. The algorithm is not perfect.
Sure.
I'm not aware of it being worse in the humanities than in other areas. But a very key thing is it isn't perfect, and you please just decline if you don't want. If you think a manuscript is not for you, decline. But and let us know, and we will. I think there is attempt to improve. But yeah, and apologies that if you're receiving too many that are in the wrong
No,
area.
I've only received one so far,
Okay.
and so I was just trying to measure the water, so to speak.
Yeah,
and
no, I
I'm
don't
curious
think it's
about
worse.
it, so maybe I can accept it. But I wasn't sure that maybe you don't get much in religion, maybe you don't get much in philosophy, and so that this would be the norm. I was also curious just about how often or how many in a year, let's say, an editor could expect.
Mika, I think you probably know the answer to that better than me.
Sorry, what was the last part of the question?
How many manuscripts a year would you expect an AE?
Oh, expect you to handle per year.
Yes.
I think the guideline, as I last saw it, was 1 to 2 per month, but obviously adjusting for how busy you are and things happening throughout the year. So, but honestly, there isn't really an absolute minimum. So 1 to 2 per month is our rough expectation.
That makes sense. And you can decline if you're busy.
Please do. Yes. And set unavailability dates.
I see.
On the system.
Super. Thanks for the help. And one last thing, Patrick, your microphone went in and out sometimes. And especially if someone's first language is not English, they might struggle. So.
Oh, thanks for letting me know. Sorry about that.
Of course. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Let's see. And we're going to be wrapping up some of the questions soon. I think most of them have been answered. And then we'll go to breakout rooms. Any questions I missed, please, you can turn on your camera or unmute and ask it before I go to the breakout rooms. Once, going twice. Okay, then that will be pretty much it. That is the end of our session, a formal session. Please do, like we said, reach out to us anytime. Maybe over the next few weeks, we might be a bit more quiet, but in the new year, we will be ready for you again. Do engage with us on social media. We have moved to Blue Sky. PLOS Water is not yet on Blue Sky, but most of the other PLOS journals have moved over. And thank you for signing up, and thank you for being an academic editor on PLOS. You are an ambassador for us, so please spread the word. And yeah, thank you again. Let me break you into breakout rooms so you can discuss if you would you have your different areas of research. Why did you join the editorial board, and what piece of advice do you always give your graduate students or mentees? I'm going to stop sharing here. I'll put you into breakout rooms, but you are also welcome to log off at this point if you need to go. We appreciate your time and it is valuable.